Hi, Million.
Hi, how are you?
We have a special guest for you today for the Voice of Afsa newsletter. I've known Million for many, many years. I've worked with him in Ethiopia. He's, the gateway for my environmental advocacy and communication work. And we are also working in Afsa together. So he is a very special guest because one is my boss. We are working together. But with all honesty, I'm really, really happy that you're taking time to have this interview with us. As you know, we started this Voice of AFSA newsletter, give a clear picture for our audiences, for the public, who AFSA is, who are our members, what are they doing, what are the leaders behind AFSA. So we thought by creating this kind of platform, the leaders in each country, leaders of the organization, the movement can come up and tell us what they are doing, who they are, just to get to know them better. And once we started it, most of the comments that I get from our members is we have no idea this and these people have been doing this and this thing in their own country. So the knowledge we have about ourselves, even within AFSA, is very, very limited because we only know and interact in a work environment. So I'm really excited for this opportunity because even if I have known you for so long, I'm very, very sure that you have many interesting stories that I have never heard before. So I want to explore your journey together. I'm really happy to welcome you. But for our audiences, for the public, I just want to introduce you formally and then we can kick off the conversation together.
Okay, thanks for inviting me.
Okay, Dr. Million Belay has dedicated over 2 decades to advancing intergenerational learning, agroecology, biodiversity, biocultural diversity, and the rights of local communities to seed and food sovereignty. With a PhD in environmental learning and an MSc in tourism and conservation, a BSc in biology, his academic profession journey reflects a deep commitment to protecting ecosystems and amplifying indigenous knowledge systems. He has a passionate advocate for the integration of culture, environment, and livelihood, ensuring that African voices and traditions remain central in the global discourse on sustainable food systems. He is a founding member of a former director of MELCA Ethiopia, an organization committed to environmental protection, sustainable livelihood, and biodiversity conservation in Ethiopia. Currently, as the general coordinator of the Alliance for Food Sovereignty in Africa, the largest civil society network on the continent, he leads a campaign that promotes food sovereignty and agroecology across Africa. A member of international panel experts on sustainable food systems, IPS Food, Dr. Million has recently launched a new podcast, The Battle for African Agriculture, where he shares reflections on power, culture, and resistance in Africa's food systems. Thank you, Dr. Million, and I welcome you for the Voice of Afsa newsletter.
Thanks for having me. I'm very much excited about this conversation.
Yeah, Million. It's a very shallow introduction of you, to be honest, but my hope is to get to know you more in a very informal and lively conversation with you. So I want to start my first questions for you to take us back to your childhood, your upbringing. Tell us about who Million Belay is, your families, your parents, the early days. We want to get the feel of how your childhood looks like.
Um, for your information, I'm still learning about my childhood. As my name indicates, my father's name is Belay Ali. Ali Faris Koricho Ajema, from the Wollo area. And my mother comes from from the eastern part. She was born at a place called Dilela. I don't know how they met in Addis. They're both they were born and grew up in rural areas. My father in Wallo and my mother in Dilela in rural areas, and they came to Addis Ababa grown up. And even though they lived in an urban environment, they still acted as a rural people. Yeah, I can say that I grew up in a semi-rural urban environment. My mother, for example, had
Yeah.
chickens in her house, roosting and laying eggs. in the middle of Merkato. So I was born in Merkato, the biggest open air market in Africa. That's what we say. And I'm very, very much happy that I was born in Merkato, mainly because the people around me, they come. Merkato is like a miniature Ethiopia. Ethiopia is a big country, and people come from all over the country, and they live together. So we grew up together, and we never know where we come from. And our identity was Merkato. I remember when I was a high school teacher, this ethnicity was starting to creep in into our own systems. So, on a form, I was asked, what's your ethnicity? I froze, I didn't know what to feel. So I feel Mercato, honestly. And everybody
Merkato
was
is your
laughing.
identity. Yeah.
Mercato. Mercato was it's where I was born, and my mother and my father separated when I was a little child, and I live with my father for some time. When I get tired of that, I go to my mother, and when I get tired of that, I go to my father. And till one time, my stepmother said, "Okay, Million, you have to choose. Where do you want to live? There's no
Yeah.
yo-yoing."
Yeah.
So I go, okay, I chose my mother, and I start to live with my mother. Probably, reflecting back and talking about the impact of my childhood, what I'm doing now. I didn't grow up in rural area. I sometimes ask myself, why did I become interested in environment? But every summer, when school closes, I'm taken to rural areas, and I spend the time there with sheep herds. They used to take me to the forest, and me eating forest foods. Actually, maybe that's what has led me to be an environmentalist. And Mercato, this is the center of the country. Every kind of food comes from all over the country. Every kind of food. And when I was a child, I used to be sent by my family to buy food, an errand. I used to do errand, so I used to buy every kind of thing. And now even I can identify easily the quality of some products like a potato, tomato, or whatever, because I used to do errand for my family. And when I go to school also, I cross Mercato. So you see so many things, so many food, and it's a very, very beautiful environment. But it's chaotic. It's a very chaotic place. We lived on the streets, so Mercato, I can say, because you are a problem when you stay at home.
Yeah.
So your mother wants you to go out and play with your friends. So we used to do a lot of tricks, on other people for our fun, and I used to hate that now. But yeah, I think that's where I was born. In the schools were also around Mercato. One of them was called Nugus Olde Georgis, King Olde Georgis, Nugus Olde Georgis. I never had an idea of who is this Nugus Olde Georgis? Have we ever had Nugus Olde Georgis? Apparently, he's a king which stayed for some
For
months in Ethiopia. Then Colfe, then Black Lion School, that's
yeah.
where my education was.
How many were you in the family? Was it a large family?
Yeah, but with both of them, my mother had 5 children, and I'm the fourth one. For my father, I'm the first one, but he has 6 children. So I don't have any sibling, you know, from the same father, the same mother. Yeah, that was also very interesting.
Yeah, that's very unique. You some. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what has happened. Yep, that's yeah, that's my childhood, and
Yeah.
I used
So.
to love school.
Mm.
Love school. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think.
I was about to ask you. So, how did school started, and even while living in that kind of, very vibrant, chaotic environment. We know how big and large, okay, Merkato is, the life and everything. So how did you become really into education, starting from the beginning, but to where you are now? I assume that you've been one of the very good students in
I
the
was,
class.
yeah, one. I used to get number one from the classes. Yeah, my ministry, the ministry, sixth grade, eighth
The,
grade, my university grade, all of them were good. Yeah, I used to be first from my class, and
yeah.
that stopped. That stopped when in grade 9, the Black Lion School. They said, why don't we collect, why don't we bring together all of the smart students and give them, the best of the teachers. They
Yeah.
called it a special class
Yeah.
and see how they compete. That terrorized me. That put a lot of pressure on me. So
Yeah.
instead of one, I was number 13 of the
Yeah.
class. We were about 50 something students.
Yeah. Was your mother very serious on education, or it just came?
None of them,
Yeah.
both of them are
Okay.
not serious. That's
Okay.
what surprised me sometimes.
Yeah.
I had my uncle, who passed away quite recently, who was a teacher,
Hmm.
who sometimes, brings some books and whatever. I loved books. I loved books very much. But I don't know. I was super active in the class. I don't have a place to study in my house. I don't have a place. When I was living with my mother, I used to help her, cook, clean houses, and whatever. So there was no time. With my mother, she doesn't give, but at the end of the year, if I bring a certificate, if I
Report
pass,
card.
it's enough for both
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
But don't ask me why I love the school,
Yeah.
but I love the school.
Yeah.
I
So,
love
okay,
that.
it's very interesting. Where did you join the university?
Addis Ababa University.
Okay.
Then yeah,
What
my
did you
special.
study in Addis Ababa University? Your first degree?
I chose biology.
Mm.
Yeah, in our time to go to Arat Kilo, I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to study medicine, but my result was not enough.
Mm-hmm.
So we were told that if you join biology
Mm-hmm.
and get a very, very good result, you can move from biology to medicine. So I joined biology as a major and chemistry as minor. And as you know, university is a collection of students from all over the country, bright students. So I was a nobody.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was actually a nobody. And they study, those who come from rural areas, they study like it. They terrorize us. And to make matters worse, two things have happened when I was about to join the university. One was I fell in love with big books, big and thick books. So I loved reading. Even, the school starts for a few months, I do reading. And in university, you get a lot of books. The second thing is I joined the Higher Five Kinet. Kinet, Kaftanya Mist,
Yeah.
as a singer, as a English singer. Suddenly, before I know it, I was famous, actually. You know? I used to sing, and everybody was talking about me in Merkato and outside of Merkato. They were, on the streets sometimes. When you find a famous person, you go and look
Yeah.
at him. Suddenly, I find children coming and looking at what?
You were a
And
local
that time,
celebrity.
you remember, was Michael Jackson and all Billie Jean. Those songs. He was quite famous. So I go to library and I open my books and Michael Jackson comes out of my books because I was a singer and that derailed me. Add to that, the way of teaching in Addis Ababa University was horrible. They just come into the class, they just they just go. And at the end of the Well, 4, 5 months, the semester, half of the students would be kicked out.
Yeah.
It was brutal.
Yeah,
It
the
was
Christmas.
it was really brutal. We when we started, we were 375 something, and 50 of us graduated. You see,
Yeah. Yeah.
in the end. So yeah,
It's because of a lack of a space, that's one of the sad thing, of the past generation. I'm sure that those people are the cream of the generation, to be honest.
yeah.
If they have made it that far in only because they cannot afford to maybe a bedroom.
My friend from around Samin Hotel,
Yeah.
his name is Afork, and I used to go there and visit his family. I know his family also. Now he's in London. He's an electrical engineer. And there is another friend of mine that I know. He was kicked out of the university, and he's a medical doctor somewhere. Yeah, in Europe or in the US. Yeah, it's just crazy. Really
So
smart people.
so the singing, it didn't start from high school. Like, it was really surprising
No, no,
that
no,
you
no.
picked
It
up
just
this new interest in the university.
no, no, no. I just have when I finished the high school because I had
Yeah.
to study for my
Yeah.
matriculation.
Yeah.
The moment I finished, then I went to higher five, and I don't know how somebody bought modern modern music instruments.
Mhm.
And higher five was playing traditional instruments, traditional songs. Somebody brought modern instruments. And we started to use guitars, lead guitars, bass guitars, saxophones, drums, new clothes, and whatever. And suddenly I've asked them, can I sing this song? Can you practice it? And they practiced it. They started to play it, and I started to sing. And the first night show, I remember, so in the evening, all traditional songs, they closed it. And when they opened the stage, I went out. So I couldn't even look at the people.
Yeah, yeah,
I was singing like this.
yeah. Hairs down,
And,
no eye
and
contact.
it was repeated. Bees.
Yeah.
I had to repeat.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe it. And the next day, and every day after the show, we have a meeting. And the next day, I didn't expect it. I sang, but they were talking. Where did you bring that singer and whatever? I think one of the reasons is that time when I
Yeah.
was the exposure of many of the youth there for English songs was limited because it's only on Friday evenings that the Tamrat Worede, Tamrat something,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah, that you hear about English musics. We don't have internet, you don't see a lot of singers. It was not easy to see. So I became a phenomenon, you see?
Yeah. So is it the higher five is like the YMCA of the
Yeah.
era?
We had
Yeah.
a
Okay.
hall. We had a whole,
Yeah.
yeah, it's in the middle of Merkato, Kabale 19.
Yeah.
The name of the hall is Bago Draguta Darash.
Okay.
And yeah,
It's a
we have a
very
very good stage.
competing interest with education. This is a new information for me because
University life was
on the one hand studying for the degree and biology science, and
Kirubel, you
so
can't.
how did it came to end? How, the singing part you didn't continue with?
Yeah, yeah, it became too much of a call, I couldn't do it. I
Mm,
couldn't do it. The first year, I did it, and when you are a kid, every week you have to go somewhere.
mhm.
You have to train. You have to do. They call me. They get angry with me because there is demand also. But at in the end, I said no. But it actually stopped totally after I graduated and went to Kinderbarat.
Yeah. So Gandavarat is your first work. Let's go there now.
Yeah,
And yeah, what happened after you graduate? What is your first job?
my first job, the first what you do is there are lots, you
Mhm.
pick a lot. So my lot was to be a teacher. So that was my lot, and I took that to the Ministry of Education. When I took that, they said, okay, West Shore. That's where you're going to be. West Shore, there are a number of schools. Our preference is Ambo. But Ambo is in a city very close to Addis Ababa and whatever. So in I went and there were two lots, I think. One was for Gundavaret, one was for some place in.
Mhm.
So I picked Gundavaret, and I was shocked. Gundavaret, where is it?
Yeah, where is it?
You know, the people tell you that this was a place where slaves were sold, in Ethiopia. That's history of Gundavaret in books, Every time you see Gundavaret, oh, that's a place where slaves are sold, slave market. So I picked that and went to beg, and they said no. I wanted to go to Ambo. You cannot go Ambo to Gundavarat. And you go to Gundavarat, after that you ask them. They just want you to send you. So it was interesting. And I was sitting by myself, and there was this guy. His name is Masfin, and Masfin came. He's one of the funniest guy that you know. Masfin came. I was told that somebody was assigned to Gundabara. I said, me. And there was a guard there. And he said, are you going to Gundabara? Oh, no, no, don't worry. There is a police station there.
Wow.
We just love the police station. One good thing about Gundabara is a police station.
There's
Yeah. So I just decided to go. I used to read books.
Is it a high school or
High school.
it's a high school? Was it a big high school?
No, I'm
What
going to
was your
tell
first
you.
impression
Yeah.
when? Yeah,
Yeah. It is a lot of stories there, but to make a long story
yeah,
short, even though in the travel, I had to go on a big lorry. Lorry, and I arrived there, and there was this clothes that I bought from Merkato. Very nice one, and my shirt was very nice, and my young man, and my and I arrived at Ginchi. You have to go like some 70 kilometers is Ginchi. You arrive at Ginchi, you board another car. So when I asked about the car, they said, "Oh, there's a car parked by fuel station." So I went there. Are you the car who's going to Gundabert? And I said, yes. And they said, yes. Okay, go up. Up on the
yeah.
truck.
On the track, yeah,
But inside the, what do you call it, with the driver, inside the cabin. You call that a cabin? I don't know. There were two people who sitting there with one woman and one working there for Ministry of Agriculture, So the lady said, come here. So I went here,
you sit on the front seat with three people.
I squeezed the front seat. Yeah.
Yeah,
So the trip is another story. I arrived in the evening. It was dark, pitch dark. So they told me that there is a one bar there. I went into the bar. Masun was there before me. In the moment the car arrives, he came to look for me. But
yeah,
yeah, and that evening I met also Eyub, Dr. Eyub Kamil,
yeah.
It's another story. Anyway, so Gindavaret, those schools, Swedish schools?
Hmm.
The Swedes were constructing the schools in every part of Ethiopia. One of them was in Gindavaret high school with a big compound. So people come from all over the rural areas to learn in that school. Most of the time they go to their home on Friday and they come back Sunday evening with the food for the whole week. Most of the students in this small town called Kachisi, there's no asphalt road, there's no electricity, there's no water except the small stream down there. Nothing. But I read books, especially Russian books. The transliterated books, and they talk, as you know, about going to the rural area, about changing rural areas. So I went there with a purpose.
Yeah,
I had a purpose, actually, not beyond teaching, but I wanted to be very, very good teacher. That's what I wanted to be. And the students shaped me to be a good teacher. Because one day I remember I entered into a class and
Mm.
I said to them that I'll give you an exam on the fifth period. When I was passing that class on the third period, the class was free. So I came in and said, "Do you have questions?" I said. And I even remember his name. His name is called Waltaji Galaza. So he raised his hand. Teacher, yeah, we don't understand the answer for this question, to this question. Which question is it? This question. There are four choices. Which one is right? I just looked at them. This one, I said, teacher, but it says, here, something else. I was, what?
Wow.
I
Yeah.
said, no, 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 no. You know, this is a very old book. The science has gone forward. But what about this one? They showed me another question, the same thing. Two times in one book, I made a mistake. It shocked me. I went straight to the library, and as God would have it, for each of the chapters in grade 13, there
Yeah.
is this small book. I took it out like that and took it home, and the student book, the text and everything. I just sat and read
And to
and read
start reading.
and read and read. Yes, then it became very difficult for the students to challenge me, so we started to respect each other.
Yeah. All the school, students, that's how they change you, to be honest.
Yeah, they
They
made
made
me.
you take
They
your
made me.
craft very seriously.
They made me, but I used to write stories, and
Yeah.
read
Which
to
grade
them.
was it? Is it,
Grade
11th,
11,
12th?
I
Yeah.
think grade 10, I used to teach chemistry, but mostly grade 11 and 12.
Okay. So you taught biology?
Mainly biology, but sometimes
Yeah.
chemistry.
Okay.
Yeah. So
How long
Gindabarat,
did you stay in Gandabar?
3 years,
Wow.
and
So,
I was collecting herbarium materials. So from there,
mhm,
I started a student question and answer program. The library, they had a lot of chemicals,
mhm.
unregistered in whatever. We organized the library, I mean the
The lab.
laboratory.
The lab.
Yes,
Yeah.
very much organized. And I used it. I used the lab at that time, and the students were writing a lab report. Very, very, very serious teachers. Very serious. I know the name of every student.
Yeah. How many were there in one class?
In the class, about 40 something.
Yeah.
About 40 something in a class. So I know their names. Some of the best students, their village I know. And they were very, very, very good students.
Yeah. So did you
I'm
did you
just
assimilate well with the community? How was it like
very
with the
much.
okay. Yeah,
Very much. They respect you, the Gindabar
the
community.
teachers. Yeah.
When we walk, if an elder person comes on the top of us, he just goes down and greets you and goes up and goes. They even do that. It is very, very.
So you rented a house. There was no guest house or something that's prepared like a camp for teachers?
No, yeah. I mean, you rent houses. That's very cheap. Our salary was pathetic. Our salary was very little, like 500 per. And out of that, 1 year month's salary is taken by the government for Zamacha or whatever. Mangisto has taken one salary. So our salaries was pathetic. Yeah.
Yeah. What year was it?
87?
87, just to get the perspective of what
Yeah,
things,
I think
used to.
87. Between 87 and 90 was Gindabaret.
Yeah.
And after that, I went to Ambo.
Yeah. So how did you transfer to Ambo?
I think I decided not to go back to Gindabaret.
Okay. Okay.
About it, because things are start to change.
Hmm.
The Derg was defeated.
Yeah.
The EPRDF came in. I think the EPRDF came in when I was in Ambo. Yeah.
Hmm.
So that attitude, there's a lot of students were recruited to be soldiers,
Yeah.
and I tried to save as many of the best students as possible because physicians were my friends. So I give them the list.
Yeah. So they will
And
write them a
they will,
report, a
they will
medical report.
consider, yeah, they
Yeah.
will do, that. The students don't know. We told to one of administrators, the head of the administrator, when it became probably, became dangerous. And he said, yeah, 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 his name was Solomon Ilala. I remember that administrator. When we told him that this is a list of students, and it's better if the students stay rather than go to war. And he has agreed, and based on the list. Yeah. So I was living with, my sister and my cousin. They came to live with me. Then I start to go to Ambo. I went to Ambo. Ambo, there was some problem. Probably no good for the media with the current hot environment. And
Yeah.
I was transferred to Wolisso. Wolisso, 3 things happened in Wolisso.
Hmm.
Very interesting things. One, I
Woliso
met
is also another high school.
yeah, that's high school. Yeah,
Okay.
this like 115 kilometer out of Addis.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a small town, and I still love the teaching. In Ambo, everywhere I go, I will do my best. And in Waliso, 3 things happen. One, I met Sable, my wife. She was a nurse there. So that is a story for
Yeah.
for another day probably. The second thing was there was a group composed of a number of people working there, like teachers, Minister of Agriculture, and whatever. So we had an evening session where we studied Bible, where with a priest, and also one of our teachers. He's blind, but he
Oh.
knows Bible. He really knows it. So we started to study Bible, and we raised questions after questions after questions. So that the second. The third thing, which led me to where I am now, is the starting of an environmental education club in Woliso. There is a fourth thing also. I started also a theater club in Woliso.
Yeah.
I used to write plays in.
You've been very busy.
Yeah, I used to write plays in direct. Yeah, I love plays. Anyway, that's one of my life which has dimmed
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. So
So
Woliso, we can say Woliso was the foundation,
yeah,
probably.
Woliso, yeah, probably. I mean, in Gindabaret, I used to collect plants, as I told you.
Mm.
I had to ask the local community about the cultural name of those plants, and I have to go to where they drink Alan alcohol and local alcohol and whatever, and the details of understanding of those plants opened my eye to traditional knowledge. People know, very people. So yeah, I can say that there's some seeds also planted in my mind or in my heart about traditional knowledge in Gindavaret.
Yeah. So can you share me, I get really curious what you did in Waliso with the environmental club,
Yeah,
some of the major things that you did there probably.
yeah. So I mean, I there is a Ethiopian Biological Society.
I know.
Every year there was a conference,
Hmm.
and one time I went there, and there was this later friend of mine called Workena.
Hmm.
Workena was presenting about his environmental club in Bali during the change, in 1983, 1990 in European calendar, when the government changed. A number of the Walia, they were killed, and they campaigned in the local community to stop that killing. Niala, Mountain Niala, not Walia.
Mind.
So Mountain Niala was killed, and he stopped, and he was talking about what he did. He said, "Oh, wow, interesting environmental. Why don't I start environmental club in my school?" So from Ethiopian Wildlife and Natural History Society, I collected about 200 magazines and took them to Waliso. And went around the school and said that we are going to start an environmental education club. If you come, I'll give you this magazine. So to all of the students who came, I registered them and gave them that magazine. The next day I called a meeting and I told to
Every-
those who came, all of them, tell to your friends, all of them who are not part of this meeting are dismissed from this club. Dismissing. By the fifth iteration, I had 40 students and 7 teachers. Really strong. So we started the Walga Nature Club. So I used to take them to for plant collection, and I used to take them.
What's
We
Walga?
yeah, Walga. We used to grow tomatoes and potatoes and sell them around and use the money to go to and see places and visit places. But a very very bright student.
Why do you call it Walga? That's what.
There was a Walga river called Walga.
Uh-huh. As a nearby river in
It's a
the
nearby
local.
river, and there
Okay.
is also a hotel called Walga Hotel.
Hmm.
Um, it's a local name. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stories in Walga. Probably the simplest story. When we plant onion and we want water. Water is a problem. You know, so the water has to pass. From the river has to pass a prison, a big prison, and has to pass a number of farms and goes to school and have to go to other communities. So it's a shared water, for irrigation.
Yeah.
So I go to this prison and I beg the prison administration. They
Yeah.
say on this day from this time to this time water is allowed. So I say to the students, "Oh, can you come on this day?" And they would come
With
and we
applicant.
wait.
Yeah.
Water will come. It stops because in between there are so many people.
The comment. uh,
Yeah.
it was a
Anyway,
hassle.
even that, sometimes we have water probably at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I have to be there before the students.
Yeah.
And the wind in Wolisso, you can't imagine. So we have to shelter in the trees. There's small trees. The wind is going around you, and the students will come one by one, and we'll water, and we go. Yeah. Anyway, so
Now
many stories.
the journey is, it's where the education is even for students. I don't necessarily evaluate by the outcome, but even the journey. Having gone through all these,
Yeah.
challenges, sacrifices, is something that will remain to them, forever. You just cannot forget this.
Exactly.
It's very
Exactly. That's what I
impactful.
say
Yeah.
when we meet. One thing which
Yeah.
became even now formative to my thinking and also to a range of actions that you actually know is what we called at that time rally. Meaning, I will tell to the students, but no, we decide together as a group, the teachers and the students. We decide together and we say that after 5 months on this particular date, we are going to organize a rally. So the students will be divided into groups and they will do a study. And it's not only study, they have to produce something. For example, some of them would study the shape of the barks. So they put charcoal on the paper and they write the name of the tree, the character of the tree. Some of them will go to a wetland and they sit there and study and draw the birds and whatever. Some of them study the climate, they express it in different diagrams. And there were song, they practiced theater, a lot of things. The celebration. So on that rally, we invite people like Dr. Tewolde came twice, Su came from all over. And there will be exhibition and there will be shows. And it's not the exhibition in the shows, which was very important. It's a process. In the process, the students learned quite a
Learn.
lot.
Yeah.
As later in the celebrations, the Saini clubs,
Yeah.
Senior club. Every club uses the celebration. They come together
It
and they
become a
prepare.
big thing, a big thought,
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll talk about it. That's
Yeah.
the thing
Yeah.
later. But
Yeah.
that was the idea of
The seed was there,
the
That's when
seed was there.
yeah.
The seed was there in Wolisso.
So how did Wolisso end? Where was your next journey?
My next journey was the Ethiopian Heritage Trust.
Mhm.
By this time, a lot
Yeah.
of people in Addis knows me because the club became one of the
Strong
good
clubs in
clubs
the
in
country.
the country.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they knew me, and when there was this position, Sue called me, told me the Ethiopian Heritage they started it, and the Ntoto, the mountain on the northern side of Addis Ababa, that area, they wanted to have it as a heritage trust.
It's a
The
beautiful,
church
beautiful,
itself is a
beautiful place.
beautiful place. So they invited me to apply. So I went and I did my interview. By the way, I think that was the first and the last interview that I had of a job interview.
Mm.
And I did really bad.
Yeah. Was it a government thing, Ethiopian Heritage
No,
Trust,
no.
or? Mhm.
So he
Mhm.
gave it
Mhm.
an office in the British Council. He used to finance the meetings. And he made sure in the end that the Addis Ababa authority gave that land to the Ethiopia Heritage Trust. The land now, the Prime Minister Abiy has developed, there's a lot of things that are happening. I don't know what the relationship between the two is
Mhm.
now.
Yeah.
So,
Still exists, the organization?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's there. So I
Okay.
was invited, and so I had to leave my job as a teacher and to join the Ethiopian Heritage Trust. And that became also another life. For the 3 years, I worked at the Ethiopian Heritage for 3 years.
3 years. Yeah.
I never had a vacation and I never had a weekend for 3 years. I don't remember working in so many organizations, but first was crazy. Ethiopian Heritage Trust was crazy, crazy.
What were you doing? What are the things that you were doing?
One, I used to recruit students, youth, and there were a lot of Addis Ababa news interested. And second,
To do what? I mean, is it I
the
just want
main purpose,
yeah.
is this is an area which is very close to Addis Ababa. It's
Mhm.
historical,
Mhm.
and I walked that mountain in and out all the children. It's the most beautiful area. I don't know how many of them they still know it. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful area. So we used to take people after people after people to that area. There was planning of that area. Every summer, I used to organize planting operation. And most of the schools in Addis high schools
Mhm.
have
Participate.
participated in that. Most of them. So getting the cars, we don't have money. There was no money. The funniest thing is there was no funder which has given us that money to use that money to do the operation. Everything was freely given. You see? Even I used to go to the military, the Ministry of Defense, and they give me trucks to use to take the students to Ntoto for planting. But most of the scaffolding, my back was held by a number of people, especially Michael from the British Council. So he calls people, to give money, and he knows he's a very, very good fundraiser, and he knows how to talk people. So they used to do that. Um, yeah, the children came. The children who were living in around the Toto area
Yeah.
were also participating freely. We just put them when our buses came. They know they wait. they come in.
It's
When I
like a
come
big
back, every day
use
my
movement.
hand was into
Yeah.
so many pieces.
Yeah.
But it was a lovely work. If I tell you the number of seedlings that we planted, you would laugh because now people talk in billions. But it was not in billions. Over 3 years, we planted 117,000 indigenous trees. All of them were indigenous. We were not planting anything except indigenous. But when you hear the number, it might seem
No,
very.
it's like given
Oh
that time,
my
it's a
God!
huge number. You know,
Eh,
the kind of resources, the logistics, the convincing, the organization that requires
Let
to
me tell
bring
you
people to the mountain is crazy.
one funny story. There are a number of big funny stories that mountain. But let me tell you one of them. One time, I had a friend. He is not here with us now. He passed away a number of years ago. His name is Gofla. So I called Gofla and I said, I want students. Ah, no, no problem. Around St. Georgis, just bring the car, 2 cars, then no problem. Okay, I said. I went and I rented a car and I went to Georgis. True to his word, there were a number of students. When they came in, I was shocked. They had, their,
Airphone,
what,
airphone.
earpiece, the shoe that they wear, He told them that there will be a party. There will be a party. They are going somewhere out of parties. They just wanted to have a very good, relaxing time. So I took them up, and during rainy season, it's cold. It's bloody cold. That jacket, my leather jacket. I'm telling you for a reason why I was wearing a leather jacket. So okay, then like stand in groups, and I divide them into groups, and I gave them gasso for digging the. They just stood with the gasso. They have no idea what to do. Okay, let's go. So for 3 hours or something, they start to do that. They start to blame everybody. Then we took them to the bus. They sit in the bus. The driver starts the bus, drives like 1 meter deep into the mud. And the moment he does that, rain started to fall. Heavy rain. So those students had to go out,
There's no going back
walk like 5 or 6 kilometers in that rain
to get a taxi.
to get a transport
They
to go
might be
home.
cursing you all the way down.
I was with my leather jacket. I never thought that the leather jacket will be like a
Soft.
clothes, as soft as a cloth. So yeah,
Those are
so
the
there was a
days.
tree planting and everything, and for 3 years I was with the Ethiopian Heritage Trust, and yeah, we planted a number of seeds and took a lot of people. Yeah, and I had a
I'm sure the place
youth
now
group.
it has changed a lot. So have you
Then
been to the
then Sue said
mountain?
one day,
Yeah,
"Why don't you come and work with me?"
that's the next. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah. So there was some little problem in the Ethiopian Heritage Trust, which I don't want to go into now. So I said, okay. So I told some people in the Heritage Trust they were not happy, obviously. So I joined Sue. When I joined Sue, Sue was working at the herbarium, and Dr. Tewolde is the head of EPA. So it was only me in that office. The Institute for Sustainable Development that time was working in Tigray on sustainable agriculture, you know. So Million from teacher, then park coordinator, now working with farmers,
yep.
actually. By the way, another story, another time, while I was at the Heritage Trust British Council, I went to northern Ethiopia. I walked on foot from Eritrea to Magdala for 1 month with a group, the Magdala trip,
Yeah. That
Walk. I refused to use any kind of. In between there were some travels by car, but that's another story.
wow. Yeah. So did you stay in different cities while you are working?
Yeah. We went to Eritrea, spent the night in Masawa, Zula. Do you know the story of General Napier? General Napier, the British
Yeah.
army who came to fight with King Theodore. So we followed that route. 8 of them were from UK, British people. But at a later stage, the others joined us also. In the middle when we were in Ethiopia after crossing the border. So 5 days in the mountains of Eritrea, and we walked to Sanafe. From Sanafe, we went to Lake Hashenge. From Lake
Ashang, I know
Hashenge,
Lake Ashang.
walked
Yeah.
to Magdala.
Wow.
Most beautiful mountain that I ever seen. The
Magda.
landscape mountain is mad. This country is mad, as you know.
Yeah. It must be
The
one of
most
the
beautiful country
beautiful
Ethiopia is. But
experience.
yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so where was I? So the Ethiopian,
We're
the
talking
Institute
about
for
the
Sustainable Development,
ISD. Yeah.
Institute for Sustainable Development. So I started to help Sue and Dr. Tewolde to really organize office and also to organize a Tigray project. No, yeah. That's right. So while I was there, I mean, the Tigray project itself is, the first agroecology project that I know. It's a kind of research, as you know. There are farmers who are not putting anything, no artificial fertilizer and no compost. There are those who use chemical fertilizer, and there are those who use compost, and they plant other things also to increase the plant biomass, and do soil and water conservation activity, landscape level healing. And it was more than 10 years of research which clearly demonstrated that agroecology can produce more food, healthy food, culturally appropriate, nutritionally correct food. So that was an eye opener for me. It just formed also my thinking now. I'm very strong in my thinking that it works because
Yeah.
I experienced
You have
it.
seen it. Yeah.
And later when I came back to ISD, I lived somewhere. When I came back and did research, the research of that project in totality. But while I was there, the regional government of Tigray decided to spread it to other parts of Tigray. As worked in Tigray, then we called a national meeting in Aksum. That national meeting decided that it has to be Ethiopian program. Minister Environmental Protection Authority pushed to make it a national program. It has started from that program. So there is a good basis for agroecology for Ethiopia. We'll talk about that later. So ISD. So after ISD, I left ISD. It's another story. One time, me and
Yeah.
Sue went to visit somebody at Heinrich Bell Foundation. Her name is Asagedich. And she told, Sue
So
told
yeah.
Asagedich, Million is my right hand. When Sue talks about you, yeah. So that time, we had a big project that we're waiting as Institute for Sustainable Development. But the war between Eritrea
Yeah.
and Ethiopia started. And most funders stopped their funding to Ethiopia. So there was no money. Because of that, there was a strain in IST. Asa Gadesh calls me once and I said, do you want to come and can you look for somebody for me to work with the Harishpur Foundation? And I said, oh, do you pay good salary? He said, do you want to join? Maybe. Okay, come, let's talk. So I wrote a letter, an application, and I went and I gave it to her, and she read it and said, when are you going to start? So I started with her, and for 3 months only, because I had my son, and one evening when my wife was in the hospital, in home, and somebody calls, Michael Sargent from the UK, calls into the Million. I wanted to do masters, and I found somebody who can pay for you to do your masters. Are you interested? Yeah. So the first time in SD, I just went to do also. I mean, I joined the Harishbal Foundation. My responsibility was, I think, about 12 countries, Eastern Africa, as an environmental coordinator. But I started something there, which is celebrating the Habitat Day. And I was getting a newspaper panos, I was getting the panos. In that, I saw that on the 1st of October, there is a Habitat Day. And I said, why don't we celebrate it in Ethiopia? So I told to Asagedech, I will find you the money if the Minister of the Environmental Protection Authority of Iowa is interested. And I went to talk to them and they said, oh, we are very much happy. So I contacted the youth groups that I know, and they expressed interest. So we organized a huge exhibition, and also, what do you call it?
A caravan.
A caravan.
Yeah.
So that, I think we did that for 3 years or something, but it died down
Yeah.
because the biggest theme was, what solution do we have for Addis Ababa? It was solution oriented. All of the exhibitions were solutions.
Yeah.
All
So
of the
you
projects.
you left Tenerife to do your master's degree.
Yeah, I left and I went to the UK to do my master's. About to finish, I heard that Dr. Tewolde
What
is
was
coming.
your master's on? What was the?
Tourism and conservation. I didn't do anything with it, as you know, but it did two things for me. One is my research area was the Karo and the Mursi, the
Mhm.
two indigenous people. So that opened my eyes to the issue of indigeneity, indigenous people, the relationship between park,
Communities.
local communities, and tourism, business. Well, the political ecology kind of it, there's a park. With the park comes the Ethiopian government,
Yeah.
politics. And there are the local communities, and there are also conflicts and whatever relationships among communities. And there is conservation. Conservation is a part, and there is tourism as a business. So, what is the relationship between the three? That was
Dynamics. Yeah.
the study that I did. Then Dr. Tolda came to the UK
Uh-huh.
to give lecture before he went to receive his right livelihood.
Right.
Award. I went there, and the Gaia Foundation had organized it. Again, Sue told to Liz that, oh, Million, the usual thing, Sue and Dr. told her. When she heard that, Liz calls me. I met Liz before, but while I was with the Institute for Sustainable Development. And Liz calls me and started to invite me. And she said, and I finished and I'm going back home. I said, okay, before you go back home, there is this Rio Plus 10 starting in South Africa.
Yeah.
They call World Summit for Sustainable Development, WSSD. So why don't we go to Kenya? I mean, South Africa.
South Africa.
From the South Africa, and you go and meet Wangari Maathai in Kenya. And after that, you go back home. She said, okay. I said, then relationship with Liz started. Another crazily very important person. But in the meantime, when I think, I don't know, Sue came, and when I was going back to my place, we went back and we're standing on a train station. And she said, do you want to work with ISD again? And I said, yeah. So researcher, okay, I'll pay you this. Da, 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 da. I finished my master's. Then
You go to,
So
yeah,
hired me job. So I went to South Africa with this mind blowing experience. I stayed one evening with a black family, one evening with a colored family, one evening in white family. In between, I met a number of people. South Africa blew my head. Yeah, it's a very, very interesting country. Very interesting stories. You know? So a lot of things. And very interestingly, I went through Nairobi.
yeah,
I met Ngari. She came to the hotel that I was with her son, mainly because Liz and Sue, you know, they put you in a problem. She's told to Wangari that I'm an expert on ecotourism. So as an institution, and I learned ecotourism, and I read quite a number of cases of
yeah,
ecotourism for my masters when I'm writing and whatever, but not on a practical way to
yeah.
guide somebody how to build it or to build it, you know, this kind of way. It's only theoretical in my brain. By the way, at the end of the day, the teacher asked, oh, do you understand ecotourism? No, zero ecotourism, and we agree there is no ecotourism. So that was a conclusion of my study. Yeah, that's another story. We'll talk about ecotourism, why, yeah, it's all, you know, like foundation, popcorn. So I met Wangari. We had a meeting and a meet. You know, I admired you know Wangari very much. Yeah, she was a really fantastic person. Then I met Asagadich. Then another foundational thing has happened. Asagad on the table of Asagadich, I see a book which says the cultural and the
Bad.
cultural and biodiversity history of something like that. It's a thick book and a thick long book. It's I think it's a UNEP publication.
Mhm.
It's a number of stories in it. So Asagari said, "Can I take this?" No, no, no. She said, but she called somebody. That somebody brought that book for me, and I took it and I read one of the stories in the book, which talks about basket making. Basket making, how basket making is very much important for women. Why don't women put their valuables in baskets rather than in other things, you know? Basket is like a womb, something. So it just shows how biodiversity and culture are intertwined. That's why when we came back, we, we went to Tigray and I met my old friend in Gundabarat, a teacher called Dabasai, and we convinced him to start a biocultural diversity club. That's how that biocultural diversity, all the semi clubs, you know, thing started. You know, we used to call it cultural biodiversity, by the way, not biocultural diversity. So the starting of the clubs was initiated by that book, and the celebration came from the rallies that
That
we
we've
used
been
to.
doing. Yeah, everything is building like a
Yeah,
building
it's
block.
just
Yeah.
the pieces coming together. So the culture, all the celebrations and whatever came out of that.
Mhm.
And all that time I was working with ISD for research, Tigray and whatever. I was also working with Liz parallel. You know, she used to invite me to so many places. I can mention like 10 of them or whatever, which are very, very significant. But I will mention some of them. And one of them was the starting of the African Biodiversity Network, ABN. It started in 2002. And I mean, it is a culmination of years of engagement of people like Dr. Tewolde, Liz herself, and Hank, even Dr. Melaku to some extent, a number of actors. But in Durban, South Africa, we met, and there was Sue, there was Dr. Tolde, there was Liz, there were a number of people that were there. So that's why we decided to start African Biodiversity Network. It started in 2002. Another very interesting thing is, I used to be invited to London a number of times. So Liz invited me, and she also, I think, I don't know, by some chance, invited somebody. My God, I'm going to forget his name. He's from South Africa parks, and but he's leading a program. Which is called Mbeu. So he said, tell him about Mbeu, because she knows about my interest with students, with youth, youth groups and whatever. And he tells me that they have this program in South Africa, and they have it in 4 parks. And the whole concept is there are students who are living around the park area, and all the park guards, when they get old, they leave their work, but they know the wildlife in there. So they think that if they could bring the children in the old parks together, and they stay about 3 days, and they walk into, through a discipline. They just get up early in the morning, and they walk in silence, and they observe the wildlife, and they come back and they tell them stories in the evening. So the whole idea was for the park, for the older park guards to transmit their knowledge
To the young
to the
generation.
next
Yeah.
generation. So this fascinated me, and I could see the possibilities. So I, in collaboration with the wildlife, I think, what was the name of that organization? That organization, and Liz facilitating as usual, and me selecting the participants from Ethiopia and Kenya. We sent 6 people to South Africa to experience this and actually and write a report. Fasil was one of them. So they spend 1 month having a fantastic time of their life, going from one park to another, and they bring us a report. And out of that report, we write a proposal. So that idea was very much. Liz also started something in Botswana, as you know. In Botswana, she starts this traditional knowledge transfer and going back to roots, going to your base, kind of very, very, very important for spiritual activity. So the first team, I went there as part of the first team, and I get an idea also out of that.
Yeah.
And when I was talking to Colleen about this, he gives me a book called First Thing First. That's the name of the book, by Stephen Covey. That is the third book. That celebration, this Imbu program, and
The
the
Botswana
Botswana
experience.
program. In that book, I just combined everything. Started Sanyi with when MELCA started. That's what is Sanyi, actually. Our program has a beginning, before the students go there. It has a beginning, and the local elders use actually their own language, as you know, their own stories. The stories I know I participated in also in the Imbeo program
Yeah.
in South Africa, in Kruger National Park. I went there and participated, and I could see also what happens.
Yeah. So you were still with ISD while all these things were happening,
No, no, no. I mean, ISD, no, good question. Sorry, I just veered off. So I stayed with ISD for some time. At some time, we went to South Africa, that first group. And actually, Jonas was pushing me to start an NGO. So Jonas was pushing me, and to some extent, Fasil also, and a number of people. Then we decided to start MELCA. And we were looking for a name, and Mohammed came and one time, and I don't know, we wanted to start an organization, give it a cultural name. So Mohammed said, the only name that I got is MELCA. MELCA, what's MELCA? MELCA is a crossing point on a river. Okay, it's a MELCA, MELCA, Movement for Ecological Learning. I had a book on my desk called ecological learning, Movement for Ecological Learning, Community Action, MELCA. So we started MELCA. Yeah. Then
What drives you to really say this is a time to start an organization? What different thing do you want to do? What was the purpose, the
I
goal?
wanted to lead it myself because
Okay.
I have an idea of how an organization can be run. There is a time that you want to do things in a different way.
Way.
So I wanted to start something. That was also a lot of discussion, in
Mm.
the group. And shall we start a new organization or no? But they said no. We need to start an organization, and this organization will work on nature, but from the with a cultural lens, and we have to explore. We'll make it open. We'll explore different way of doing things. With Melka. So I think with all the measurement, it has become one of the most unique organization in Ethiopia.
It's, yeah. When was it born then? When was Melka? When was
Started 2004. We got the certificate. Gabriel let know
yeah.
the days of Saint Gabriel.
Yeah.
Saint Gabriel. Yeah, so Saint Gabriel. But actual activity started in 2005.
Mhm.
And things started to come, I had a meeting with, we wanted to do advocacy, but there was this organization who wanted to do public litigation
Mhm.
of an issue. And we met and we said that why don't we study the Shaka forest and do public litigation, while whoever is not the Shaka forest, but somewhere in the forest where a number of abuse are happening, on the environment, on the people, on the culture, on the whatever. So the first area that we identified was somewhere else. And Bafakado came and they said that no, 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 no. That's a very complicated area. It's been there for a long time. I don't think it's winnable. So let's start another area. Let's look for another area. Then we chose Shaka and we studied Shaka and the rest is
Yeah.
history,
Yeah.
you know?
So how many were you when you start the Melka stuff? Was it you and Bafkadu was there?
And later on, ABN had an office in Ethiopia.
Mhm.
So the secretary to ABN, later on, she became my secretary to Malka. She was serving us both. So it was only me. Then I hired Bafkadu.
Bafkadu.
Bafkadu and
Yeah.
Shimelis, and some people went out, some people came in.
And I joined in
You
2008.
came
Yeah.
2010?
8
Yeah,
for
I
4
think it's
years.
eight.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I joined late 2008, and when I joined Bafkadu, Shamo, and I mean it was really really a big office
Yeah, it was a big
with a handful of staffs, and the project were in Bale, Shaka,
mm,
the big project. So I really want to dive into Melka and know more about Melka. From the beginning, we have touched it, its connection with Ebe and the cultural biodiversity work that you
mm,
have learned from South Africa, from Botswana experience, and how did you create the Sanyi program, which is the Ethiopian version of all these processes together,
yeah,
which has become, in a sense, like you said, the baseline of Afsa work is connecting culture with nature and with people with their biodiversity. And I've witnessed that how it's inspired the young generation, the involvement with the school. There was a number of amazing things that was done really with the community as well as also with the advocacy front, where we started engaging different government people regionally, nationally. So it's give us the whole picture. How did
yeah,
it grow? What was Melka for you?
yeah. I think it would require like a 2-3 hour talk, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
with no exaggeration. But for the sake of this conversation, I will talk about the key areas, the most key areas. One of them is intergenerational learning. This is still I feel that the rest of the continent, the world, has a lot to learn from this activity, because we're talking about erosion of culture, erosion of seeds, erosion of land, knowledge about connection. This is happening almost everywhere in the world. And one of the reasons is there is fissure between the previous generation and this generation. The young. How do you bring the young to their culture? So we developed a fantastic methodology with the Sanyi program, as you know. So in all that communication, the children will go to the children and elders from the community will go to the forest. Then the children will pass through a process, as you know, and they connect with three things while they are there in the forest. They connect with themselves. A number of them became really, really good students and good citizens after they come out of the forest. They connect with the environment because what's happening is happening in the forest, So they start to appreciate the importance of nature. And they connect with culture because there are elders there. So it is part of creating a new generation of environmentalists who do understand themselves, their environment, and their culture. And the celebrations were central to that, after that, because they bring the bigger community, they will understand much more of the seeds, the medicinal plants, and the songs and stories about their community. Celebration is joyful, when they
Yeah.
come together, and they bring the local decision makers for celebration, as you know. That's one work in Melka. The next work is about mapping, as you know. And Liz has created an opportunity for me to learn participatory three-dimensional model and also to learn from the Amazonian communities, I went there 3 times, 2 times to the Amazon. So the mapping became a very powerful instrument, as you know, because through mapping, you can talk about the past, you can talk about the present, you can talk about the future. It's not about the paper, the beauty of the paper. It just gives you a beautiful art for conversation, and it's a political instrument also. Once one people decision makers to understand that the local people actually know their land, and we're inhabiting it, using it for different purposes, and they have ancestral connection to that map, to that land, and whatever. Then the mind will change also. So mapping was the second area of work. Third was related to the forest. The Shaka forest, the Majang forest. Now I hear that Melka has managed also to register one more area as a man and biosphere reserve. We registered Melka, we registered Majang, now a forest
In
in
Gambia.
Gambela follows.
Yeah.
And there is a good opportunity that other forces should follow. I don't know any other civil society organization as little as Melka who has registered this number
Amount
of
of.
forests as man and biosphere reserve. Now Melka, I'm out of Melka now, but it's a very strong organization still. Now they are also engaged in agroecology. Solomon is very, very good Orlandishu.
Yeah.
And what you said also, what you were leading while you were with Melka, also this governance.
Yeah.
We started that meeting with at the federal level, and we brought ministers from different sectors. So we had a
Yeah.
cross-sectoral meeting, environment is important for water sector, energy sector, environment sector,
Yeah.
agriculture. So they came in. The first question that they asked, if you remember, is, I think this has to go down at the
Yes.
regional level. And we brought Solomon and Melis, and the two of them, and the three of you, we're going from one region to another region.
Yeah.
And the report to me was you were doing an
Yeah.
excellent thing in mobilizing the local actors to really
Yeah.
appreciate the importance of environmental thinking.
And even creating the synergy, with different sectors and talking about the environment. The core was the environmental impact assessment work, and we drafted, alternative policy for environmental advocacy, for environmental impact assessment. We gave it to EP while Dr. Melaku, Dr. Tewolde was there. Okay,
Yeah.
can I take you back a little bit and maybe, okay, I thought this might be a place to really mention the role of, Dr. Tewolde, Sue, in the establishment of, it's really, really sad. It pains me inside to speak about Sue. Okay, we have lost both of them, but I think, we cannot do justice without really taking a time speaking about Sue, Dr. Tewolde, and Dr. Melaku Worede on this space.
Yeah. The closest to me was Sue.
Mhm.
Sue has taught me quite a lot. But more than anything was the space that she gives you. Sue gives you space. And Sue injects energy in your ideas. You give her an ill-formed, very coarse idea, and she breathes life into it. And she appreciates what you do very much. So for a young environmentalist, somebody working on culture, nature, and with farmers, she was fantastic. I was really, really fortunate to meet Sue and to learn from her. We had our fight. We fought like hell with Sue. I remember one time, and we were writing a book with her, a guidebook. And in that guidebook, I think there was education, and I said something about education and Ethiopian education on something. She was shouting, and I was shouting, and I tried to explain these things.
Yeah.
And Daraja came. With whom are you
Yes,
speaking?
speaking like this. Yeah.
Sue. So, yeah. So is he here? Why? I was sitting in one room. She was sitting in another room. I thought that she was there. And I went out and I saw her and she saw me. We just ran into each other's hands. We hugged each other.
Yeah.
It was not me disrespecting her.
No, I know.
She's looking down at me or anything. But she's an incredible person. Her understanding of the plants in Ethiopia. I think she was working for the herbarium. Was incredible. Her understanding of farmers. One time I remember I went to the northern part of Ethiopia and she was talking about the crops that are going to be planted in the soil. And she asked one farmer to tell her about something, I think. And he looked at her, and she's a white woman. And she said, no, he said, he gave her a wrong information. No. No.
Yeah.
And he laughed because he could understand that she understood. So she even understands the soil, the landscape, her relationship with the family, with my family was incredible. I even named my daughter after her. So Sinna is so
Yeah.
because Dr. Tolde, I worked with him quite a lot, but not as close to Sue. She
Mhm.
was, but when I was at their home working, their office and the home was together, and he stayed at home because he was not feeling well. So we used to talk, and sometimes he comes to our meetings. And again, he's particular. When you say development, what do you mean by development? Nobody has asked me what I mean by development. When I mix Amharic and English, either you speak in Amharic or you speak in English. Why are you mixing the two?
Yeah.
So Melaku, the first time I met him was when he was giving lecture at the university.
Yeah.
And no, Addis Ababa University. Below. I was a high school teacher at the time, I think. I think he talked about the gym bank. He was the head of the gym bank at
Hmm.
that time.
Hmm.
But I invited them both to the inauguration of MELCA,
Mm.
when first MELCA was started. Sue came, Dr. Sulu. They were just that photo of all of us. Dr. Melaku asked him to be the board chair. He agreed. And Dr. Tewolde became the head of the General Assembly of MELCA. So they give MELCA a grace,
Yeah.
It's not only grace. I learned quite. I mean, one thing I didn't tell you while I was at ISP, the file was disorganized. So one time, Sue, Dr. with the children went somewhere, and I told Sue, just give me all of the papers, let me organize them. So you have to read when you organize. I read thousands of conversations and communication. That's when I know how important Dr. Tewolde is, important, especially Dr. Tewolde. And that's when I know the number of people that I later know through those communications and conversations. So I organize those files in the house. So I could, everywhere I go, I meet people. And when I say
Yeah.
that I am working with Dr. Tewolde, what they tell me about Dr. Tewolde is incredible.
Yeah.
Fandana, when she was talking about Dr. Tewolde, she was saying so many very, very good things about him, and I even saw them together. Number of people, Hank, Liz.
Yeah.
She was a big. He was a
So,
big, and how positive in all his being is Dr. Melaku. You can't imagine. Also, he was the head of. He's a board head. Every time there's a board meeting, he's there. He comes to all of the board meetings. He chairs the board meetings. I used to go to him for a lot of consultations with Dr. Melaku, and his knowledge on health issues, as you know, is incredible. On seeds, is incredible on so many issues.
yeah.
How he understands the country. I was fortunate enough to really know this
Yeah.
giant.
Like you said, they uplift, the grace of Melka, because both of them, I think, they are the Right Livelihood Award winner, with the one that we call Alternative Nobel Prize, and not so many local NGOs can pride themselves saying, our General Assembly, okay, and board chair is,
Yeah.
So I am Sue Edwards has also a very special place in my heart. Okay, as you know, for at least for 1 year, I work with her closely. And fortunately, Romy, our first daughter, she was a very close friend of mine. And one thing I always cherish was, we invite her to our lunch while me and Romy have having a lunch, and we speak in Amharic. And she sat there, quietly listening to us. And when we make a mistake in Amharic, she used to correct us. And that's how I know she was listening. She was a very, very special person, a very caring, like a mother to me.
Yeah,
And
no.
to so many people. I have met a number of people in Ethiopia. And even last time I was asking Sena,
Mm,
and the way he speaks about Sue Edwards and, Dr. Tewolde was also really
mm.
amazing. So they are the seeds to who we are today and
Oh,
what
yeah.
we are pushing. Yeah.
Definitely. 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 Yeah. It's incredible. The
So
only thing that I'm sad about is, I could have learned more
Mm.
from those. The last time I met him, I said to him that, I just want to train a camera on you for a week.
Yeah.
Doctor told, and oh, do you want to kill me? By the way, he's so funny. Do you know that, Doctor Tolde?
People tell me about that, but
Very
I was never
extreme.
close with
Every
doctor.
time he calls me, we laugh for a long time before I say I will say. It's so funny. Out
Yeah.
of anything, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So
okay.
yeah, I'm happy that we really dive into Melka and some of the activities. Maybe it may be time to stop here and have another appointment for a more profound discussions, deep discussions about Afsa and how you live Melka and started Afsa. The whole another chapter of your life. But while we are still on Melka, probably one thing that we can mention was the PhD. I remember I was in Melka when you went to do your PhD in South Africa. So what was it about? What was your thesis? And you can.
In 2008, it connects with Afsa, which we'll mention later.
Mhm.
I was going to South Africa for a meeting, and earlier, I think it's 2007, I met my director. I went for a PhD to France to do my PhD in France, by the way. And I did study French language at a place called Kavilam at Vichy. But I couldn't get along with my supervisor, mainly because I changed my idea of PhD, um, to when we started, it was on conservation, but later the idea of political ecology fascinated me. I wanted to do political ecology. He was not a political ecologist, but yeah, we couldn't get along with him. I decided to leave, and I met Heila Losisitka, and she said, "I'll be very, very happy. I never had an Ethiopian student. I'll be very happy," she said. So I went. In my previous idea was we have this Senyi program where we take children into the forest. I wanted to understand much more. That's why I wanted to do a PhD also
Yeah.
to understand
Yeah.
my work. And the idea was, well, we select elders from the local community and they take children into the forest. They stay there, they come back, start the Sanyi club, and they do quite a lot of work in the club. So how much of that culture from the local community? I would study the culture in the local community. How much of that is going to the students and through the environmental education activity also? How much of it is,
Yeah.
transferred to the next generation? And how can that understanding help us to really scale up intergenerational learning? That was my study. So when I told them about this, the two professors in Rhodes University, they said, from what you are saying, there are 4 PhDs. And anyway, write it. So I passed through really that University of Rhodes. Half of your thesis is your proposal. So I spent a lot of time writing this proposal, and and uh, and she said, okay, you start. Then whatever you write, you tell me. You send it to me, and I'll read it to you. Whatever. But that time I was busy doing maps, if you remember. Ali maps, Shaka maps, this maps. So I met her after 2 years in 2010 in Kenya, Nairobi. And she said, have you done anything on your PhD? No, why? I was busy. You're busy doing what? Mapping. What is mapping? Can you explain to me? Yeah, and I had my computer. I opened my computer and passionately I started to explain to her about mapping. Why don't you make this your PhD? What? Yes. Do you have data? Yeah. We collect data on this mapping,
Yeah.
participatory mapping for learning and change, and in the context of biocultural diversity. So we did mapping and we collected data, and I started to look at my data with different theories, theories related to learning, theories related to biocultural diversity, and finally theories related to resilience. By the way, resilience, I came to the meeting in with ABN while doing my PhD meeting, and the meeting was somebody came to talk to us about resilience. So we started to look at resilience,
in a different
and
lens.
I
Yeah.
was fascinated by the science of resilience. His name was Michael. Michael came, and we later became friends with the
Yeah.
guy. So he taught us about that resilience, and I started to look at my data mapping also through the lens of resilience, and I went back to my advisor Hayla, and I told her, this resilience. Oh, what is it? And when I explained to, that would fill the gap that's missing in news research. So that became my PhD
Yeah.
in early. I started it in 2008 in registering and whatever. And if you remember, if you remember, 2011, 12, for a year, I was in South Africa,
Yeah.
and actually, Merka was paying my salary, and nobody. I didn't get any money from anyone. Hela paid for my tuition fee, the
Yeah.
university.
Yeah.
And I was paying for my upkeeping and living in South Africa from my salary. And when I asked Dr. Melaku to allow me to do that, he was saying, "You're doing it to understand what we are doing in Melka.
Yeah.
We have to really pay for whatever." No, no, no. So yeah, it was a
Yeah.
very
The fascinating thing about the PhD is really most of the time when you do PhD, it's more theoretical, but yours is really what you actually are doing with the
yeah.
community. And it has helped, bringing the community, the school community. I remember the mapping that we did in Bali, and we stayed there for 1 month. That
Yes.
1 month, I will never ever forget in my life
It
because
was,
that's how I really connected with what a school community is. It's not only school teachers, students, but their relationship with the community, their relationship with the elders, the church, the mosque people. Every part of the community were part of this entire mapping process. And when I look back, I always say it was a drone image before the drone comes to our life. There's no way I understand the landscape of Bali without that kind of 3D map.
yeah,
When we start building it, sometimes we're confused, where are we going with this? Where are we going with it?
yeah.
But at the end, when we see the landscape, it was really, really amazing.
It was
So,
incredible,
yeah.
Bali. We did also the, what do you call it? The calendar, the ecological calendar. Just to tell you one experience with the ecological calendar, I went back after that mapping to do another
Uh,
mapping, another methodology.
uh-huh,
We had the rivers, and we want to focus on one region, one kawale,
uh-huh,
and we had teachers in local community, whatever. So to the teachers, I have asked them to do ecological calendar. So they made a big circle. They divided the circle into four: 3 months, 3 months, 3 months, 3 months. So at the center is what kind of agricultural activity, what is the name of the mass, and I mean how the weather change. That's how the whole circle is.
yeah.
I know they were wrong. That area is not divided into four. It was into five. So I called Abamisa. Abamisa is Abamisa. I showed them. Is this map correct? What is this? They asked. They divided the Bali into four, and they gave a name. No, 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 it's wrong. The teachers looked at Abamisa and me, and they were incredulous. What do you mean? So I asked Abamisa, why don't you draw it for them? So circle, he divided the seasons into 5. Some of the months has 2, some of the months has 2, some of the time
Yeah, the
are 2
seasons are 2
months,
months, and some of the
some
seasons
are
are 3,
4,
4.
some
Yeah,
are
yeah,
3, whatever, in a year. It's not equally 3 months. For each of the months, the seasons, he gave names. Each of them, he described them in some detail. They were astounded, those teachers. High school teachers in Bali, and those teachers have grown up in
yeah,
in Bali. They come from Bali. They don't come from another area. You see, he's
yeah,
shocked.
yeah,
And we're also talking about the name of the places. And one of the people I remember, the elders told the names of that area. That area has changed now. And he went for lunch and he came back and I was thinking, he said, you know, how I heard the names, but I had no idea about the significance of the name. You see? Anyway, maps have a lot of stories. Okay.
huge stories were coming out of those mapping experiences. Yeah, thank you, Million. I took your time again. I'm really thankful that you are taking a time to us through the stories. This is not the end. This is the first part because we have to also explore about Afsa and other related workers. You have recently started the battle for African agriculture.
Yeah.
I also want to discuss about that in detail too. So for now, if let me leave you, it's already evening now at your time. What time is it?
No, not very late, like
No, very
7:30.
late. 7:30. Okay. Still in the morning here. So thank you so much. We'll talk to you next time. Thank you. Bye.